Hey everybody, I think I am live. Hello, hello, and welcome to the Creators Creative Art Studio private Facebook group. So my name is Sherry Collier. I sign all my artwork, Sherry Joy Collier. I wanted to just do something real simple and fun and kind of minimalistic today, just to keep it easy and simple. I want to take you through a tiny landscape. So if you want to paint along, you certainly can. Sometimes I find it easier to watch it through and then paint with the replay. Now give me a second here while I fire up the old laptop over here. Hello, Joanne. I see that you are here. I can't see the comments just yet, but hopefully I will see it. Here we go. I found it. Let me just click into it. And now let me turn off the volume. There. Okay. Hi, Mary. Hi, Joanne. Hi, Tanya. Tanya, you're going to recognize this little booklet. So I'm going to show you this booklet, journal, visual journal. Tanya got this for me. Thank you, Tanya. I have another one too. I liked it so much I went and bought another one. Today I'm going to use this journal to do a tiny landscape with acrylics. And you're welcome to join in. You're welcome to just watch. You're welcome to try it in watercolors or whatever art supply you would like to try it in. But I got a kick out of these. I have to give credit where credit's due. Amanda Hilburn she's been doing these tiny landscapes lately, and she's been framing them in these beautiful golden frames that she finds at thrift stores. And I thought, ooh, I really like that idea. So I need to get myself to a thrift store to find some frames. I've done a few of these landscapes just to show you. So this is the very first one that I did, very simple. And I realized that this page is a little bit too big for a 5x7. So what I did is I took some painter's tape and I just put it right here so that this is 5x7 now. And so I painted this one. And I like the serenity and the simplicity. And then I painted another one that it got a little more complicated, so I've decided not to do it. That's the strip that was taped off. So, if I wanted to frame this in one of those tinier gold frames, I would just cut that off and stick it in the back. So that's where we're headed today. So I'm gonna flip my little page over. And one of the things I wanted to mention before I get going is that I know a lot of people in here who have painted for a while already. So I didn't feel like it was very needed to go back and go like extremely basic, like, what are the primary colors? I'm not going to get into all of that, but I thought the best way to do things is just to experience it. So I'm calling it experiencing acrylics. So I hope that is something that will be fun and relaxed. So thank you, Tanya. Let's get started. So I've got to, wait, no, this is the wrong one. I've got to get the one that I taped off. Okay, so I'm going to flip the page and see how I have my tape already in place here. I do have a lot of paint on the bottom from the other picture on top, but that's okay. I'll paint right over it. So let's move that. Now, the next thing I have to do is just warn you not to get dizzy because I'm going to move the camera up above so that you can see. Okay, let's flip this around. Okay, and then let me get it in here without kicking us off. Sometimes I bump something. Okay, I think we're good. Can you see that? Is that centered? Also, I'll just kind of go through. I'm just using a couple of very simple flat paint brushes today, a couple different sizes. I have I just have my little ultramarine Nova color blue sitting here. I have Naples yellow. I have sap green, a little tube of white, Hansa yellow medium, and carbon black. I may not need the carbon black. We'll see. We'll see what happens. First, what I'm going to do is do the sky. And we're going to grab just a simple plate here. Oh, there's two. Let's just get down to the one. I'm going to start with a very simple sky. Because my brush is clean, I'm just going to dip in to my Nova. And then I'm going to put a whole bunch of white. I actually have more white in case this little tiny tube runs out. Let's just get a nice, a pretty generous amount of white because I use white for everything. Generous amount of white. And that's all I'm going to start with because these acrylic paints dry really, really fast. And until I get my Stay Wet pad, which I have it, I just haven't unboxed it yet, it just dries so fast. So I'm just going to go ahead and mix very generous white with the blue. And I'm going to just start with this blue. Now this will darken up as it dries. So I'm just going to kind of pull, oh wow, that really got dark. Just going to pull this blue down as far as here, even though my grass line will be a little bit above it. And I'm just doing a flat landscape today, just to keep it super, super simple. So I'm going to grab more white and just kind of go back and forth and get coverage. So I don't care which way the brush strokes are going at the moment. I will care in a minute, so I'll show you that. So we're just kind of going for a light blue, little bit of kind of a hazy sky. So I'm just getting, first just trying to get really good coverage. Because I do, if I like it, I'm going to want to put it in that little thrift store frame. Okay, now I'm going to just go into just my white. This blue will dry darker. So I'm just going to kind of swoosh in some white now. Just in a few spots, I might make it, actually let's curve it. Let's kind of give these clouds like a little bit of a direction. Kind of like the sky is just kind of wisping in this kind of curved circular pattern, if that makes any sense. Okay, now I'm going to grab even a little bit more white, and I'm just going to really lighten some parts of the sky. And it's just quick, strokes, just kind of swooshing. The whole idea today is keep it simple, sister. Okay, I am putting in a little bit more white. Like I said, this sky will dry darker when the paint actually dries. So I'm just gonna even smoosh a little white up into this area up here. Okay. I think I'm gonna stop there. So I've just got my nice like hazy sky, and let's go ahead and just stick the brush in the water. I'm gonna switch to this brush, and the smaller brush, I'm gonna do my greens. Now, there's a couple ways to do greens, and I just have been learning some new tricks about greens. So to keep them kind of natural looking and not so garish, when they come straight out of the tube, they can be garish. So let's put a nice helping of this Hansa yellow medium. And then we'll get a little bit, not too much, of carbon black. I do have Mars black, but it's really old, and I was afraid that it might be gloppy. Hello, Sherry. Let's keep going. So I'm gonna dip in a little tiny bit of that black and a big old dip of that yellow, and we're gonna just mix it right over here. And look at how that is. That is such a pretty green, I think. So let's start with this. And I'm just gonna kind of pull my line. Oops, I hope you can see that. Goodness. I'm gonna pull my line right across here. Let's get into this paint and get it a little bit higher. I'm gonna work that line up. Let's put a little water on the brush just to make it run smooth, because I want to kind of work my way up just a smidgen into the sky. And I'm doing it sideways so that I can see if it's straight. Okay, so there's our grass line. Then let's just go straight back into that green that I mixed up, and let's just start going at it. So we'll get some green laid on. It looks like I'm already gonna have to mix some more. So let's get a nice, generous helping of that. And some black. So hands a yellow, medium, and black. Oops, oh dear, I am making a mess. And I accidentally turned my volume on. I'm just flipping brushes all around. Yes, I think this is a pretty green. It's not like straight out of the tube green can just look too bright, too green. There's not enough yellows in it. So let's come up and work our way up into this line up here a little bit too. Okay, and I'm gonna dip in and get just a little bit of water on my brush just for the sake of time. The reason I'm not putting all my colors out on the plate at the beginning is because they dry so fast. I think we have a little bit of a chill on the air here in Tennessee today. It's spring, but it's definitely chilly. And when it's cold, it's dry. Okay, I gotta mix more. I need more. Let's get a nice helping of yellow. Let's get the black on the brush. And let's mix a little bit more, get a little bit more black. Just kind of swirl your brush around in that. And then you can see it's a little bit of a different color than I mixed before, which is actually kind of good. Like you kind of want different colors of green. You don't want it all to be just one. I'm gonna turn it to the side again. And I'm just gonna swoosh in a few spots this new color of green that I've just mixed with more yellow. Okay, let's just make sure we've got a good mixture of some darks in here, some lights in here, and we do. So I'm gonna let that pause and just set for a while. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to mix my tree color. So let's get out our burnt sienna. Okay, let me move this little thing to the side so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm putting just a little bit of burnt sienna on the plate. And I may go ahead and add a little bit of Naples yellow to my plate now. Okay. And let's grab this small brush. I'm gonna kind of wash it real good in the water to get the green off. And now I'm just gonna take a little bit of that black and a bit of that burnt sienna and mix that together. And that is just a nice brown. So I think I'm gonna cheat and look at the other one that I did, if I can find it. Okay, so this is the one I did earlier. I did a tree on one side and two on the other. I think I'm gonna just do that same thing. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put this tree right here. So here's his little tree trunk. And we'll come in and we'll darken that later. And we're gonna do a tree trunk here. I gotta make sure my brown is really on my brush here. Okay, we're getting a tree trunk right here. And let's do a tree trunk here. Okay, my green is still very wet, so I'm just gonna have to come back in here later with the brown to get that brown in there. But you get the idea. We're just giving a hint of a tree trunk. Okay, let's let that grass dry down there for a bit. And let's go back up into our greens. I'm gonna add sap green. Any yellows with green, yes. No, it does not have to be Hansa yellow. It can be cadmium yellow, medium. But if you get one that's too light, it will maybe give you too light of an effect. Like Naples yellow mixed with black is gonna give you a totally different shade. Okay, here's my sap green. I think I'm gonna just put, let's start with just sap green straight out of the tube. All right, and so I'm just gonna kind of dot in my first tree over here. And I'm trying to leave a little bit of the blue sky peeking through in a few spots. And I want it to be a little bit uneven. Boy, that kind of really went wonky, but that's okay. Okay, now we're gonna tap our sap green over here. And let's put it on both these trees. And I'm gonna make the one back here in the back. So I'm going to come back over the top with this tree here. Okay, so I've got a little bit of sky peeking through. Let's bring that down just a smidge. Okay, so I'm gonna leave that just the way it is. I'm gonna, actually, you know what? Let's take the sap green on our brush and I'm gonna show you what that looks like with this Naples yellow. So we'll just mix a new little pocket here. We get just a really lightened version of that green, which is fine. We can actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go straight into the Naples yellow and I'm gonna pretend like my sunlight's coming from straight above. So I'm just gonna kind of get a little bit of Naples yellow on parts of the tree. So dip into my little Naples, just a tiny little dot here and there. Trying not to mix it too much with the green below. Trying to let it be yellowish just on its own. Now I'm just gonna kind of blend down in here a little bit, see what we get. These turn out different every single time, which is kind of cool. And I like this, but we're getting a lot of that Naples yellow in and I want to add some shadows back in. So I'm just gonna dip straight back into my sap green and come at it again with that sap green and dot that in. Okay, I'm gonna let that breathe for a little while and dry. When I say breathe, I guess I mean dry. I'm gonna move back to my plate with the ultramarine and the white that's still on here. I really want to get my brush clean, so let me just really wash. And I've got a paper towel here that I'm just kind of wiping it off really good. Okay, we're gonna get our white. I'm gonna move over here to make a really light, that's pretty light. Let's get a little bit more blue. Okay, so I'm gonna get more blue in here. And let's put our river, I need to kind of look at the one I did before. I kind of want to make even more of an S than that, just a little bit more of an S. So I'm going to kind of start my river over here and kind of pull this way. And it's getting green on my brush already. Then I'm gonna open that up, that river up. And make it wider, like it's just flowing off the page. Okay, so that's a nice base coat for the river. We can come and add some other stuff to it in a little bit. Before I move on, I think my sky is dry. Yep, my sky is dry. I want to take just a hint of that Naples yellow. I might actually put a little tiny dab of white from my other plate in there on that Naples yellow. And that's already, I can see way too much Naples yellow on my brush, because what I want to do, and I may use my fingers, is I just kind of want to streak ever so lightly a little bit of Naples yellow here and there. Let me get that wet. Okay, let's make it nice and wet. And just rub my finger over it a little bit. So I'm just kind of pulling in just a few little spots. And if it gets too bright, no worries. I can go back in with blue and calm it down with the blue. But who knows? I may like it just the way it is. We'll see. Let's put a little right here too. And just a smidgen down here. Okay, I don't know if you are able to see that very well. Just a little hint. And then, you know what else? I like to do just a tiny, tiny bit. This is cadmium red. So whatever red you have on hand will work just fine. Totally fine. But I also sometimes like to mix my little bit of that red with that Naples yellow. And it just gets that beautiful kind of peachy. And again, I'm gonna get my brush wet and I'm gonna dab it off on my paper towel, and I'm just gonna put a little swoop here and there of that color. And again, if I don't like it, I can cover it over with blue after the fact. Just trying to give a little, I'm getting too complicated. I should have just kept it simple, but you get the idea. Now, while I've got this in my brush though, I am gonna come and I'm gonna just dot a few little flowers by these trees and kind of up over here. So a few little flowers, just kind of dabbing that on, which I'll probably come back over and just lay down some Naples yellow on the tops of those flowers. And I think we could use a little bit of color down here by the river. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna go straight into that red, because that is gonna probably be needed to make things pop a little bit more against this dark green. This green is drawing really dark, which is fine. I don't want to go over it again because I'm putting these little flowers, and just for time's sake, I wanted to keep this nice and brief. Okay, and I don't know, maybe a couple of dots up there. Small dots. Okay, that's good enough for those dots. Then while we've got our Naples yellow handy, I'm gonna dip straight in to my Naples yellow. And I'm gonna add just little dots of that right next to the red dots. And we've got yellow and red flowers. That's the idea. And I'm keeping it pretty faint in the distance, but I'm letting it be a little bit more pronounced up front. Okay, so here we go. I'm listening to my son come home from work out there, and he and his dad are talking. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not, but I can. All right, so as I'm painting here, let me look up and make sure. Water always takes away stress. Yes, agreed, Tanya. Absolutely, especially at the beach. Okay, now let's pay a little bit more attention to our trees. So I kind of want to I want to grab some of that white off of my other plate, and I want to bring it over here, and I want to get a little bit of that Naples yellow and a little bit of that sap green and mix that together and get that nice, ooh, look at that pretty light green. And then I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna highlight a little bit more on some of these areas of the trees. It's pretty dark. And if I do too much, I can change it by going back over it with dark. So just dotting in a little bit. Okay. I am going to get a little bit more of just my sap green and just make sure I've got little dots of that sap green down here where the sun would not hit as much, if that makes sense. Okay, let's get a little bit more sap green just to add back in a little shadow here and there. And what I'll do is I'll stand back and I'll look at it and I'll just see, okay, do I like it the way it is? Do I not? I need to pay attention to my sky again, so I'm gonna rinse my brush really, really good, take my paper towel, and then let's go back in and grab some white and some blue. Hopefully that's enough blue, maybe a little bit of water. And I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of cover up that thing. And I'm gonna kind of bring that over my orangey streaks in the sky. Just so they're not so orange anymore. And then I'm even gonna go in and grab even more white. I'm running out of clean white here, but get more white. And I'm just gonna come up and kind of hit the tops of those yellows with that nice light. In fact, I'm gonna grab even more white. Let's do a little bit more. Oops, I got yellow on my brush. Let's move that off of there. And I gotta cover that up, that little green dealy. Okay. I think I'm gonna just wipe a little white up here and leave it be. Then I wanna pay a little more attention to my river. So let's get even more of this white mixed in down here. I've gotta go into my water and thin it up just a little bit. And then I'm gonna kind of come in and I'm gonna just come over the top of that and lighten it a little bit. Not everywhere, I'm not gonna lighten it everywhere, but in a few spots. Alrighty, so I'm just kind of pulling that lighter color in over the top of that river. And you can kind of imagine that it's going to reflect the sky a little bit. So I might actually dip into my blue. Let's see, my blue's gotten really dry over here. Whoops, there we go. Let's pull that blue in a little bit, and then I'm just gonna add, so if the sky's going that way, I'm just gonna kind of add some, well, anyway, that's good enough. I'm gonna also add just the tiniest bit of Naples yellow into this river. And I'm just kind of trying to blend it in with my finger a little bit. I mean, just the tiniest hints. Okay, I am going to stop there because there is no need to keep going with tons of details when you're just going for something super simple. You are also going to do well to let it completely dry. And then if you really want to frame it and you want it to have any different details, come back in and add whatever details you want after it's dry. So that, I'm going to stop. I'm just going to stop where I am. I'm going to show you the other ones again. So this was the other one. And then the other one. Where did it go? Here it is. Here's the other one. They all come out different. This green was much lighter. It's kind of like a hill here. These trees are different. So have fun with it. Make as many as you want and then choose the ones that you think came out really well and frame them. And I just turned on my volume again without knowing how I did it. Okay, so I'm going to pull down. Okay, see here. There, okay. We are done painting. So I am going to leave this painting to dry. And let's see, I'm going to just quick go back through. Sorry, I'm late. No worries about being late. You are teaching, okay, let me scroll up, Tammy, and see what you said. I was teaching my seated watercolor classes. Ooh, fun. A seated watercolor class. Does that mean like in a recreation center type classroom, or I'd love to hear more about that, Tammy. Okay, I don't see any other major questions here, so I think I will call it a day. Thank you very much for watching. If you end up painting your own tiny landscape, I'd love to see it. So take a picture of it, upload it, and put it either in the comments or just post it in the group, however you can do that. And next week, I'll be back to Wednesday at 2, Friday at 2. Wednesday will be another art journaling page. And then Friday, we'll do some other simple, quick, easy painting that won't take too long. I try to keep them around the 30-minute mark or so, but let me know if you have any questions, if you have any requests for future paintings. I would love to hear from you because, yeah, I need your ideas. All right, thanks everybody again for watching. Have a very blessed day. Bye-bye.